This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
Thank you to our sponsors over at Sphere Rocket VA for making another episode of the Icon podcast possible. I am your host, Gianna, and today we are going to get to know all about Miss Victoria Davis. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we're excited to get to know you. So let's start at the beginning, right? So where are you from? Where are you now? And how did you find yourself a real estate agent?
So it's interesting. I actually really dislike the question, where are you from? Right. I had a unique upbringing. I was raised by hippie parents. And so I actually lived in a van for a period of my life, traveling around. I'm really from all over the country. So that's what I would say is, where are you from? I'm from everywhere. I know people everywhere. I have people everywhere. But right now I am in Florida. And I've been in Florida, the panhandle of Florida, to be more accurate, for quite a while. Like 15 years or so I've been living here. So that's where I would say, if you want to say where I'm from, I guess that's where I go back to, is saying that. Yeah.
Okay. Super unique upbringing. And then, so you're in Florida now. And then, So what got you into real estate, Victoria?
So I got into real estate. It was kind of like an aligning of the stars. So I was working for a builder as his office manager. And then I have grandparents that they started in California back in when they're bought their first house in the 1940s or 50s or something like that in San Diego. And then they were able to leverage that and they bought and sold properties everywhere they went until they ended up in the Orlando area. And they actually have 125 doors there. And so they have, they kind of had built like a real estate empire. And I kind of knew about it, but I actually have 2 seminary degrees, as you can see back there. So my job, I always thought I was going to be a pastor or minister or something like that. But unfortunately, trying to be a pastor in the South isn't the easiest thing for a female. So, so I was like, well, let me I had some, odd jobs here and there. I was the office manager for a builder. And then I also, talked to my grandparents about what they were doing. Actually, in fact, to go back a little bit, we live in a highly tourist type area right here. And we were trying to start a water sport company. And so when I was trying to start this company, I needed money because I was just, a broke kid with my husband. I think we had a kid at that time. And I was like, hey, so I need some money. So I went to them to pitch this idea to help me with a water sport company. And my grandparents came back to me and they said, well, we don't know water sports, but we know real estate. So if you want to get your license, we would love to try and work with you there to maybe buy and sell some properties, flip some properties, maybe property manage. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll think about that. And then at the same time, the builder that I was working with, he said, hey, Victoria, I really need a sales manager. The agent that I'm currently working with, he's great, but I need somebody that's dedicated to work just for me. And so it was like 2 people told me at the same time to get my license. I was like, well, I think it's time for me to go get my license.
No, absolutely. Like you said, it's like the aligning of the stars, and it was meant to be. And it's like my grandparents have ridden me my whole life because they were real estate agents. But you got to get your real estate license. That's where the money is. That's where a good career is. Like, you got to get this, got that. So I understand I'll think about it, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, grandpa. But then now here you are and killing the game, obviously. An icon agent. That's incredible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And super cool story, Victoria. And we'll dive into a little more of the icon details here shortly. But, you know, as a mom and a wife and a high producing agent, you know, I would love to know how you take care of Victoria, right?
Yep.
So how do you make sure that you're not on burnout mode all the time?
Oh, absolutely. So, right now, I'm going to say that that's a work in progress. Just to be 100% honest, right? So, I actually am not. I'm a real estate agent, but I actually prefer the term like real estate investor. So that my real estate license is just one aspect of what I do. We also buy properties, we flip properties, we do a whole bunch all around there. I work with a lot of investors, and then in addition to that, I have 4 children. So you know, being a mom of 4 children from 12 to 18 months. So I have even just like a little tiny, you know, baby that I'm carrying around with me, uh, and trying to build something, right, that I can pass on to them. So, you know, I will say, while my grandparents built, you know, a real estate empire, they didn't really, my parents themselves, they didn't follow in that same footprint, right? So when I started out, and I was a little estranged from my grandparents until I was older in life. So I grew up fairly poor, and so I had my education and I had my drive, and that is what I would say really sets me apart when it comes to this kind of. So what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to build something, a legacy for my family, and in order to do that, it's taken a lot from me to do that. You know, I've given a lot for my family. I've sacrificed a lot, and so to say, well, what do you do for yourself right now? I don't even necessarily feel like I'm in that season where I can do a lot for myself, unfortunately, and fortunately, right? Like, because I do really feel like life is seasons, and right now I feel like I'm in a season where we're growing, we're building, and I'm setting a future up for my children and for myself so that I can enjoy later years in my life. You know, I have a lot of moving parts, and I'm getting to a point where I will be in more of that season of rest. And I've got it. It's kind of like, let's get through where we're at right now, and then really start trying to fill in that margin. That's the word that I'm really trying to work on, is filling in that margin. You know, but with that being said, I still have, you know, so as a mom that works, I still have some things that I do, because for me right now, I need to enjoy my children, right? The worst thing if the biggest failure to me right now would be to succeed in real estate and become a multimillionaire, and then to one day wake up and look and my children are grown and I don't know them, right? So I take time to be intentional with them. So I take time, and I have 4 daughters. And so we have there's 4 weeks in a month. So every week I set a time, an hour, to have individual one-on-one time with them, because I think it's very important that I'm giving them that one-on-one time. In addition to that, we have certain things that we do for holidays. So for every birthday, I used to bake a cake from scratch, but then guess what? I became a working mom. So now what I do is I call it the mom's, like, my cheat cake. So basically I buy like a stacked cake that's iced and like dirty iced. And then my daughters and we like decorate the cake itself. So we still have those times together where we're spending time together. And then finally, we always do big Halloween costumes together. So that's what I enjoy, right? Like, so you're saying, what do you do? Well, right now I'm a mom and I'm a wife. And so when we go into like what I spend time with my husband, we have, for Christmas a couple of years ago, I gave him the gift of time. And so what I did is I hired a specific nanny that just worked for date nights for us so that we could have consistent time together, because, right, like, life's about relationships, and it doesn't matter how much money you have or what you build or what, if you don't have the people around you that you love. So right now it's just about making sure I spend time with the people that I love. And let's be honest, I spend a little bit of time on myself. I make sure I get my nails done and, my hair done. And like, I'm very much a salon girl. I'm not really a shopping girl, but I'm a salon girl. So if you want to know what I'm doing in my spare time, you could probably find me. I call it my strip because I have everything I have right there. I got my eyebrow place, my tanning place, my nail place, like everything is right there. So yes, it's awesome.
There's no shame in that. I wish there was a little strip like that here in Nashville. I've got to go to all kinds of different sides of town to get what I want done. There's on the West End, and this is a downtown, and it's a mess. So good for you and your little strip. And I think that is an incredible balance that you've got going. You said it's a work in progress, but it's far more developed than a lot of people. You would be surprised.
Well, I would say that. I mean, I'm not always perfect with it. So, I'm definitely trying, and I'm trying to be intentional with it.
Yeah. And that's the key word there, is that you're intentional with it. Some people just laugh at the question. They're like, I have no idea, which is fine. But at least you're intentional with it, and you're striving for a nice little work-life balance there.
Absolutely.
So Victoria, how did you cross paths with EXP, right? You got your real estate license, your grandparents and the builder was encouraging you to. So obviously you probably pursued a little bit with the builder. Then how'd you meet EXP? Why did you come over here?
Right. So when I switched over, or when I became a realtor, we kind of, the agent that was currently listing all the builders' properties was a broker. And so it was kind of one of those situations like, hey, Victoria, you're taking this guy's job, so you're going to work under him. Like there was not really an option. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'll totally work under him. And it was like a little, local boutique brokerage. And it was great. I have nothing against him at all. Like it was a great split. I could call my broker whenever I needed to. There's really nothing wrong with what I was doing there. But I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I think that a lot of people that come to EXP have that entrepreneur mindset.
Agreed.
There was never a moment in my life that I thought I was going to work for a brokerage the rest of my life. I thought I was going to be a broker, right? Like that. And in the early years, when I come in, well, I'm going to work for 2 years, then I'm going to get my broker's license. I'm going to start a broker. I'm probably going to partner with the builder. We'll figure something out, but that's what I'm doing. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of liability that comes with being a broker, right? Like I have to be responsible for all the people that I bring on. And, sometimes people can make some very expensive mistakes. And, and then also just as I learned with business, it kind of comes when you start to become very successful. It's not really if you get sued, it's when you get sued. And, and I especially feel like that in real estate. And, when you're doing these bigger level deals, like litigation is something that we have to be aware of, right? So I say all that to say, like, I started to get like, well, gosh, it would be nice to have a broker, like to be a broker, but not to be a broker, right? And so when I had a good friend of mine, believe it or not, his name's Andrew Vos. He is, we actually worked together flipping houses, and he moved to Colorado, and he called me. He's like a multi-level marketing king. Like he's the best at at all of that. And he just called me and he's like, hey, I think I'm going to have you ever heard of EXP? And I was like, I've heard like whispers of it, but I don't really know. This is way before, this is like 3 or 4 years ago, like before it kind of even became what it is. Yeah. And he's like, listen, I don't even have my license yet, but I want you to switch over. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you get your license and then we'll talk. And then just as I started to research it, I realized that's what I wanted is what EXP offered. It offered me an opportunity to run my own company, sort of like a brokerage. It's not a broker, right? Like I have to obviously use the broker signs and all of that, but I have my own marketing. I can build my own team. I can, I have a lot of freedom in how I want to run things. And yet somebody else is taking the liability off of me. Like somebody else is taking the compliance off of me. Somebody else is taking the paperwork off of me. And I was like, that's genius, because truth be told, if I own my own brokerage, I would be paying somebody to manage all of that. And I can guarantee you I'm going to be paying them more than $16,000 a year to cap. Right. So plus I get that money back anyways, now that I'm an Icon agent. So it's like, I'm literally making money using this brokerage. So and plus who doesn't want to have a mega power behind you? Like, let's be honest, right? Like I can never negotiate the contracts and the contacts that they negotiate for me, being, little Victoria Davis in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, with my 5 people on my team. Like, sorry, no, KV Core is not going to give me a discount, and I'm not going to have cloud brokerages. I'm just not there yet, right? So why don't I partner with somebody? It just makes sense.
No, it's incredible. And I tell people, I view EXP as a skeleton, right? And then you get to build on it. So you get to build, your personal brand. You get to build how big you want to be, or, how small you want to be, what kind of person you want to be, where you want to be at. If you want to be licensed in multiple states, fine. That's incredible. And so they really just give you the bones to build your own thing on. And I love that.
Yep, absolutely. It's awesome.
So Victoria, what about EXP makes you say, I'm never leaving this place, right? You came over, you saw it was incredible, E&O insurance, no liabilities, you get to be your own boss still, so incredible. But what makes you say, I'm never leaving this place?
I know. And like when I was reading into EXP, I was like, they've got it figured out. I was like, this is genius. The fact that they give you stock and then they make you wait 2 years to get it. I'm like, of course. Like, so, and like, it's like they got you hooked, right? Like, because I have been offered, obviously, to go to different places, and some of them pretty sweet offers to go to. And it's like, oh, but do I want to walk away from $35,000 in stocks, 38, whatever I have that I can't? No, I don't want to walk away from that. I mean, because even if you were to give me that kind of a bonus to move, I still would have to pay more money. Like, you know what I mean? When you start looking at the number, I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. So I say that to be like, the way that they set up their company was so ingenious, and that it makes it very difficult. Like, you would have to have such a sweetheart deal, or you would just have to hate the company. And there's nothing that I dislike about EXP, right? Like, I love the community. I love, and I will say I was very fortunate to be part of a great downline, right? So I have resources that I can go and talk to, which has made it so much easier. I've, and I know that some people struggle with that, but you just really have to work your line, right? If somebody brought you on, I can guarantee you're only 2 or 3 people away from the top person, or, in EXP to make calls and get you what you need. You just have to really, in my opinion, you just have to work it.
Right.
But yeah, like I love the community. I love the way it's set up. I love that they're very hands off. I love that they're innovative. So it would be tough for me to, I don't know. I don't see anything that could really move me away from it.
No, it's an incredible brokerage and an opportunity that you're not going to really find anywhere else. As of yet, not anywhere else that's been through the trial and errors that EXP has been through to really become the monster, an incredible organization that it has become.
Mm-hmm.
Just past 80,000 agents, I think last night is when I saw that post.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, and that was the thing, like when I got into real estate, I was completely ignorant on like the business of real estate, right? Like I knew about how to like buy and sell houses to some extent, right? Like that part of it, but I didn't realize like, how brokerages work and how they take cuts. And like, I actually was confused when the builder was like, you have to hang your license somewhere. And I was like, I just thought you got a license and you could just like, nope, you have to hang. I was like, oh, okay. I just had no clue on that. And as I started like talking, like, these just don't make sense. Why am I paying all this money to these companies? What are they doing for me? And again, not even like the boutique brokerage that I'm having. I'm talking about like the bigger corporations. Like, why would I pay $24,000 to this company? What are they giving me in return? And so even when I was kind of like researching others to compare against EXP, I was like, it doesn't make sense. And the fact that they don't give you the stock option back doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know. They set it up in such an ingenious way because, anybody, like I said, anybody that has an entrepreneur mindset will appreciate the business model of EXP.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. And, EXP is it's exciting. And like you said, you've gotten other deals from other brokerages. Of course, you'll check them out. But when you have something better to offer me, something that's going to grow, something that's going to really provide value to my family later on down the line, sure, I'll hear you out, but until then, I'm not gonna make the jump. Why would
One thing I actually forgot to mention, the thing that like pushed me over the edge, because let's be honest, everybody, we're happy where we're at. And I was happy at my brokerage, right? Like I had no issue. But what pushed me over to be finally like, okay, Andrew, yes, like sign me up, let's do this. And what it was is I actually was in a car accident a few years before I even became an agent. But I one day I woke up in excruciating pain. I couldn't move. My husband ended up having to take me to the hospital. And it ended up that I somehow, because this is what just happens, but I had slipped a disc in my neck, and I had a massive herniated disc, and I had to have spine cervical surgery. And like it hit me at that moment. It was like, I don't have anybody. If I stop making money right now, the train stops. Like if I'm not the one out there pushing and doing it, I have nobody else to take care of this for me. And that was a scary thought because, anything could happen at any moment. And I realized at that moment, while I was recovering from my surgery, I don't want to be in this position again. I want to make sure that I have people on a team that will help me. And I love the idea, of course, of the residual income that you can create by having a downline that when you recruit somebody in, and especially if you recruit somebody and train them well, because that's my other big, like I don't want just a million agents out there. I want, rather than having 100,000 agents, I would rather have, 5,000 really good agents that know what they're doing on my team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather have high producing agents that I'm working with and train them and give them the resources, because I do feel like in the long run, they're going to be the ones that stick with, real estate longer. And, if you, and again, that's another thing that's so ingenious about EXP is because we're encouraged to build our downline up, because if they're better real estate agents, they make us more money. So, it just makes sense. And so that's why we like have, these great mentorship programs and whatnot. But I say all that to say, I realized like, wow, I could actually have, a retirement plan just in recruiting people and teaching them what I already know, and I love to teach. So it kind of, worked out.
Absolutely. That passive income coming in and keeps the train going. And I love that. And that's a great story and a great example of, why EXP is a better option for people. And it's more sustainable. It's more reliable. Like you are going to have, something to fall back on. And I think that that's incredible. And Victoria, I'd like to kind of talk about the Icon Award right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like to ask this question because it varies with everybody I talk to, and we don't have to talk crazy numbers, but just tell me about how many houses you had to sell to hit Icon in your market.
Right. Okay. So I've been with EXP. This is my 4th year. Yeah. So the first year that I was there, I missed Icon by 1 transaction. So for anybody that doesn't know how you reach Icon, basically you get your cap, and then you have to have 20 transactions after, or about an average of 20. It varies if you have teams or splits or different things like that. But for me, I didn't have anything. It was just me. I had 20 transactions and I had 19. And I swear to you, if I knew, and I was very ignorant on what Icon was that first year. And if I knew that I could get that 1 extra transaction, I would have done whatever I need to do to get that 1 transaction to get that cap back. And I believe that year I did 30 transactions. So it took me 15 transactions and then an additional 15 to get, 30. Math is not hard.
It is hard. Math is really hard. You're fine.
How many would that have been? So it was 20. So did I do it in 10 transactions? That doesn't seem correct. I don't know. Let's just say for that year, we'll just say that I missed it by 1 transaction because I don't remember my numbers that great.
That's all right. No, I've had many people answer it with that. That's totally fine. It sucks to miss that by 1 transaction, but it kind of lights a fire under you to make sure that you don't do it again the next year.
Yep. So then the second year, I got my cap. I hit my cap. It took me about 6 months. It was taking me about half a year to get my cap at that time. And then the second half of the year I spent trying to reach icon. And again, like this time I was watching it. I was like, I think I'm getting close. And legitimate, like no joke, the last day of the last month is I closed enough transactions to reach the icon. And I actually had to call an investor friend of mine. I was like, hey, can we move up your closing 5 days so I can close in this month and not that month? And he's like, for you, absolutely, Victoria. And I was like, I promise you, it's like a $16,000 bonus. Like, please, can we just do this? And he's like, yeah, you don't even think about it twice, right? Because it was a cash
deal. Ask, how do you know? You know, if you don't ask, the answer is already no, so that's incredible.
Exactly. So that was really amazing for me. And it just felt like, okay, I did it. Like this was a goal that I had. I missed it my first year. I got it my second year. That's awesome. And then by the third year, so I start over in February, and I actually hit icon at EXP Con. And when I was in Vegas, I got the notification that I had sold the like that week is when I hit my number to get icon. So I was able to get it way sooner, like every year, right? Like a few months sooner. So I was stoked. I like went out and celebrated. I don't know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, I guess. But it was awesome. And then no joke, this year, because one of my biggest goals ever, so I was like, cool, I got it. Like I've got icon again. This is great. And then in February, when I started again, my next big goal was to cap in the first month that I did real estate. Like that's huge, right? To be able to cap in the first month. And I did it this year. I was able to cap my first month. So I'll hit icon probably in the next few months, just because actually I think I'm only a couple of transactions away from icon again. So it's pretty exciting. And it's just that feeling of like, I set these goals and I hit them, and now I'm actually exceeding them, and it's very exciting.
It's incredible, Victoria. And, to icon, it's not just all about the production, right? So you have to give back culturally. Absolutely. What is your avenue there? Do you teach, mentor, vet other icons? What path do you take?
So yeah, I'm a mentor. I mentor because I also have a team. So a lot of people that I mentor, not a lot, I would say 50-50. Some come on the team, some I just mentor. It really just varies depending on the person's personality and what their goals are. But yeah, I love to give back and teach and give them my systems and really just, to me, it's a lot about the systems, right? Like I feel like if somebody goes into real estate, it's because they feel like they can sell real estate. Right? Like you have something in your personality, like somebody's told you, like you have a personality for real estate, or you like sales or something like that, right? But let's be honest, getting the contract or getting the client or getting somebody to trust you is just one aspect of it. There's so many other things that go into a real estate transaction, because honestly, a transaction isn't successful. And so we're all at the closing table and checks are cut, because until then, like everything could happen. And really we have to become like the ultimate problem solvers through that. And so I really like to bring people in and keep them like kind of close to me and watch how I problem solve constantly. I mean, I don't even, what is it? We're not real estate agents. We're just professional problem solvers is what we are. So, I mean, that's what I get paid to do all day, every day.
I love that. That's incredible. And, sometimes you learn more from your mentees than you do from your upline. And it's really invaluable to be a mentor, I think. Absolutely. And so, that's awesome. That's a great avenue for you to take, Victoria. And now I want to know, what's your favorite part about the Icon Award? There's so many great aspects of it. You get to go to EXP Con and shareholders, and you get a nice big shiny glass trophy. You get a $16,000 cap back. Like, it's incredible. But what is your favorite aspect of it?
So for me, just to be honest, like I'm not fantastic about bragging about myself, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one thing you have to be able to do when you're in sales, is like, this is what I'm good at. I think women in general, we hate talking about, or people in general hate talking about themselves. And the women also, I think we have like a natural tendency to not want to do that. And so it gives me a very quick and easy, like, hey, I'm an icon agent. That means I'm the top 2% of my company.
Mhm.
Like immediately, like, oh, well, you know what the heck you're doing. Like it, and so even just that one little aspect helps a ton. And even like the girls on my team, they're like, I love just being able to say that I'm on a team with an icon leader. Like it helps, like, I don't know, give people a little bit more confidence that you know what you're doing.
Right.
In addition to that, I love our stock options. I mean, it's fantastic to be able to, so interestingly enough, right? Like I asked my grandfather, but a few years ago, I said, if you could give your 21-year-old self some advice when it comes to stocks, what would you say? And he says, invest in what you use. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense, because if I use it, other people probably use it and whatnot. And so I had been one to invest in EXP, and that was probably knowing, like having that little bit in the back of my head was like, okay, well, I'm going to own part of this company. I have share in this company. I'm investing in what I believe in. And so I've been able to use that stock to build kind of like, I don't know, a little bit of a nest egg for retirement. Again, just thinking of the future. It's awesome to not I don't know. It's just awesome to have a little bit of extra cushion for retirement, because we're self-employed, right? So nobody else is paying for our retirement. We've got to figure this out on our own. And so it's awesome to have that extra support coming in.
No, absolutely. And, when's the last time you've been to a realtor retirement party? Probably never.
Exactly, right? It's so true. It's so true.
EXP is making these parties possible, people. Start designing your invites.
Exactly. Yep, 100%. We don't have to grind for the rest of our life. There can come a time where we've built something that we can take a step back and just enjoy life, like that's awesome.
It's incredible. And Victoria, I'd like to talk to you now about the newbies, especially since you're a mentor, right? So
Yes.
let's put you in a scenario, and this isn't far from true, right? So say like last weekend, I just passed my real estate exam, right? Super exciting. Now I'm ready to go. I'm registered with EXP. You're my mentor. I've got everything set up, but I've never written an offer. And I'm coming to you. We're talking about my goals, and I'm like, hey, Victoria, I want an icon this year. What would you have to tell me? Bring me back to reality, but, help me set out some goals with my intention to do this, and maybe where you had just barely missed, like, what are some of the failures that I can avoid, facing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that I push with anybody that is joining or that I'm mentoring is that, listen, you know somebody that knows somebody that's buying or selling real estate all the time. At any given moment, you know somebody. You have got to work your sphere of influence. That is the number one thing. Because if we're looking at a funnel, I mean, right, there's levels of confidence that you have to break through on people. And when you're going, like, because people are like, well, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the fact that I'm in real estate. They know I'm in real estate. Yeah, they probably know you're in real estate, but they know when they need to know. Because if you're not top of mind, they're going to go to whoever because we all know a lot of real estate agents, let's be honest. And so they're going to go to whoever was the last one that they thought of or heard about or whatnot. So, and if you know somebody that knows somebody that's buying or selling real estate, you've broken through that first like wall, or that first level of this cone here. Is you have built their trust, right? They now trust you because, oh, well, you're so-and-so's friend, or I know you from so it's not like it's just some stranger on a billboard or a stranger making a cold call. Like, you've actually have a little bit of rapport with them. So that's why that sphere of influence is so important, because you break through that first wall. And then, so what I recommend you do is just make the calls every day, post on Facebook every day, let people know, like, it's not that if you do it the right way, you don't have to be annoying with it. right? Like I had a great friend of mine, and she actually sells insurance, and I take exactly what she did, and I'm like, I listen, I play it for people. I'm like, listen to this right here, and I'll watch how non-annoying she is, right? And she just said, "Hey, babe, it was great seeing you this weekend. I love you and your family. You guys are so beautiful. Like, yeah, you guys have something special going on in your life. But I just love seeing your face, and I can't wait to hang out again. But I also wanted just to remind you, hey, I sell insurance, and anytime you need help, blah, blah, like." She just went on, and I was like, "How'd you like?" This is what we do as real estate agents. We just need to have that connection. I need to call and be like, "Hey, babe," it was her, hey lady, or hey girl, or whatever, I mean, you talk however you want, but we might even say some other things that are not appropriate for a podcast,
No, you're
like,
fine.
like, hey, it's so great seeing you last weekend, at the kids soccer field. You're doing so great with the new baby. We have all been there with moms. Like, when they cry and scream like that, just don't even look at the Karens. All right. Just keep doing what you're doing and be an awesome mom. Hey, also just want to remind you, if you ever know anybody that's looking to buy or sell real estate, or if you guys ever are interested in what your house is worth, maybe you can want to get into some kind of investment. Like, I'm your girl. Just give me a call. Like, I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
And how easy is that? It's not threatening. It's a direct contact. And you're working that sphere, because I promise you, making those personal touches and those connections are going to push you so much further, so much faster than cold calling or neighborhood walking or door knocking, anything like that. I mean, those work, don't get me wrong, but you're having to push through a lot more.
Warm leads are critical, especially as a newbie. You want to start with family and friends. You have to.
Yes, you really do.
It's a great place to start.
Yep.
And Victoria, that's great advice. And I guess as we are approaching 40 minutes here on the podcast, I'd like to do some advice for people that are sitting on the edge about EXP, right? They see the grass is greener. They're super excited about the model. The numbers make sense, but they hear those things started by other brokers, oh, don't go over to EXP. It's a cult. It's a pyramid scheme. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. So, what would you have to say to somebody sitting on the edge right now thinking about coming over?
Yeah, I would just tell them, I mean, what would I say? That's a good question.
Or sometimes, another way to phrase it is like, yourself. When Victoria first heard about EXP, if you could go back in time and talk to her about making the jump sooner, or, not being nervous about it, what would you say to them?
So I would say that the greatest obstacle to future success is your current success. Mm-hmm. And I know that probably right now you feel like you're successful, right, but let's not let our current success and where we're at and our comfortability stop us from thinking about future success, and stop us from thinking about what could be with EXP, right? Like, I think the worst thing, what I hear a lot is people is like, oh, I wish I would have joined sooner. I wish I would have, and just to be completely honest, like I was, when I joined, I was so super fortunate. I joined back when like stocks were like $8 a share, and I was able to cash in on some amazing, when the stocks got high right before the split, like I was able to make a decent amount of money just on stock because I moved in when I could, because I didn't let my current success and my current where I was at and the comfortability I was at stop me from thinking, okay, well, what could be in the future? Right. What do I want my future to look like? One, do I want to be grinding forever? Or do I want to build a brand and a company and something that I can retire with? So I guess it's just think about what you want your future success to look like, and if your brokerage is giving you the tools to meet that goal.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. And I love that. It couldn't be better said, and if you sit down and you do pros and cons and you just really think, like, take the emotion out of it, really look at the numbers, I think you're going to find EXP is the better move.
100%. Like, and trust me, it hurt me to go to the broker that, that really it's more like family when it's a boutique broker, right? Like that was hard. That was a hard conversation for me to have. And I know that the husband, you know, he understood business. It was a business decision. He understood it. The wife, you know, was a little bit more emotional. And I felt that. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, it was like, you know, she's like, of course, when you get successful, you're going to leave. And I was like, oh, I don't want to hurt you. Like, and I get that. That's hard. It's hard because you're leaving people that you love and that have you know, poured time and effort into you. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's a business decision, right? We've got to keep that in mind. This is our business. This is our future. And sometimes we have to make hard decisions as business owners. And, you know, I made that, and I'm very glad that I did. I made that tough choice.
It is tough, but you're here now, and it was a better decision for yourself and your family. And congratulations on all your success, Victoria. This has been an awesome episode. It's been really cool hearing your story. And as we wrap up, is there anything you want to leave the listeners with today?
Oh gosh, what do I want to leave you with today? Let's see. I got something. It's kind of off topic, but I got something for you. If you are in everything that you do, remember that what I would say, if I could give anybody out there any kind of advice, just remember to keep your higher purpose in mind, right? So we all have something inside of us, something that we as humans, we want relationships, we want connection, we want to be successful, we want to leave legacies. There's all kinds of things that are in us, right, that we want to do. And I would say, you know, really in business and family and all of that, keep that higher purpose. Keep like, what is it that you want to be? What is it? The one thing, if you could say, this is what I want to be, let's keep that in mind in all of our decisions, and really just focus in on that. Right. I don't really like that. Maybe I can think of something better.
I think you're doing great. I think that, you know, it's important, especially when you're building your own brand and yourself, and really like you know, you're the only source of income now, right? You're building your downline, you're getting these leads, you're handing them off to your team, whatever it is. If it's not your best self, it's not your ideal self, then, you know, what are you building towards? Right.
Yeah. And I know that what another thing I would just say is like, don't let your haters get you down, right? Like, I read something earlier that if the people that are around you aren't encouraging you, you're not in a circle of friends, you're in a cage. Mm-hmm. And that's something to really keep in mind. Like, I only want to surround myself with people that think that what I'm doing is amazing and encouraging, and aren't bringing in like the negative thoughts and whatnot, because I have big dreams and big goals in my life. And that's awesome. And you know, why not shoot for the stars, right? Even if I miss, I'll land on the moon. So that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. No, I love that, Victoria. And that's a wonderful note to wrap it up on today. You know, go for it. If you're scared to jump over to EXP, do it. Listen to more of these podcasts, reach out to Victoria, ask questions you need to ask, because if you think this is the right move for you, you got to trust that gut and you got to do it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an awesome episode, and I look forward to catching up with you at either Shareholders, EXPCon, or, you know, happens to work out this Dallas conference coming up.
Yeah, see you in Texas.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Victoria. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Spear Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success, and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at SpearRocketVA.com and find out how we can make your life easier.